believe I did, if it was in the package.
Anthony, have you read it?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. Craig,
Yes,
have you read it?
yes.
So,
Frank, I just want to be careful. And I'm looking at Joe
yes, sir.
because it can't be discussed.
Right.
Unless the board chooses to open this matter up to a public hearing, then it can. However, my understanding is, based on our usual protocol with respect to a reapproval, the board will probably vote without there being a public hearing. If that's the case, my understanding is you've allowed Mr. Del Campo to come up to present the letter to the board to make sure it's made part of the record. Now, if the individual board members want to take a minute to read that letter so they have that in mind when they vote regarding the reapproval, that's fine. But it's been made part of the record because it's been presented to Rose and it's been date stamped.
Okay. I just don't want to get it so because it could be per se that when he finished, somebody else will want to say something. This is not a public hearing.
You tend to open the door for that, yes.
Yeah. Once he speaks, I had it was my understanding when Frank told me about it was that he just wanted says this is some comments that I have in reference to a project that's on your agenda tonight, and I would like to make sure that each and every board member gets a copy of it.
As long as that's the limitations to the comment, that's perfectly fine. But it's not a public hearing.
Pat, you have any?
No, Joe's summarized it appropriately. So you have the comments from Mr. Del Campo. This afternoon.
Oh, then no, I'm sorry, I have not.
And you now have a hard copy in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's their record.
See, what I'm concerned about, two of the members haven't read it as of yet, so anybody have any problem? I would admit that this is not a public hearing, and you want me just to,
Frank, what you want to do? You want to read this?
well, I thought, since it was.
It can't be discussed.
No, I don't want any discussion, I just would like to read it for the record. Is that permissible?
Well, I am getting, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not sure, but I'm getting a political answer to my questions. It can go either way. And whichever way it go, the chairman slides down the hill with it. See? So I'll slide a little ways, but I ain't going all the way down the hill. I just want you just to read it, no comment, no nothing else. Is that agreeable?
That's
Yes,
fine.
thank
That's
you, and
fine.
I agree to that. And I want to, first of all, before I start, I just want to thank all the board members for the time they give to the community. And I don't have any political agenda. I'm a resident, I was a former supervisor, former town councilman, deputy county executive, and I thank you again, and I'll just read this. This is in regard to the application that's before you for an extension. Baldwin Hills Realty LLC, tax map number 86.11-1-1. Dear Chairman Harold Gary, please refer once again to my two correspondence sent to Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt on November 18, 2016, and a correspondence to Chairman John Maxwell of the Zoning Board dated November 23, 2016. Since this Baldwin Realty LLC tax map number 8611-1-1 project seems to be moving, and I quote, on the fast track by the applicant, I must once again alert you that more and more Carmel Mahopac residents are opposed to this applicant's current and future plans for the Baldwin Hills Union Place project reference tax map number 8611-1-1 that you're addressing tonight. The applicant's request for a lot line adjustment to his approved subdivision map is on your agenda tonight. He is requesting an extension of time which would allow him to continue on to the zoning board to seek an area variance which, if granted, would significantly reduce the minimum size of the lot required for that zone. If the zoning board approves of this area variance request, it would essentially reduce the size of both the Putnam Savings Bank lot from 9.8 acres to 2.5 acres, and the Route 6 across from it, retail lot from 3.2 acres to 1.0 acres. The balance of those 2 lots would be added to the adjacent 172 acres, bringing it to 181.9 acres. It would provide the applicant with a clear path to the back of his property. His goal, as stated in all of the submissions since even back in 2010 when I was here before you, is to move to the next step and then ask the town board to rezone the property that would permit him between 150 to 200 residential townhouses or some other configuration of residential houses not currently permitted in this CBP zone. Between 1999 and 2001, during my tenure as supervisor, the town board spent much time and numerous meetings with all of the stakeholders on revising our town-wide master plan. All undeveloped properties were reviewed and placed in the zone most appropriate as it related to water, sewer, traffic issues then and for the future. The surrounding areas of this proposed Baldwin Hills Union Place project, tax map number 8611-1-1, historically has had a serious water shortages with well water supply, significant septic overflow throughout those homes, and many drainage issues from neighboring development in Somers, New York. Serious traffic problems have always been an issue where this development is being proposed, particularly now. It has become more acute with many developments that have recently completed and are more scheduled very soon. The Baldwin Hills Union Place project site, which the applicant describes in his submissions, has no municipal water or sewer, which should only cause more serious environmental issues now and definitely in the near future if he is allowed to construct an anticipated residential configuration of between 150 and 200 homes. As you might not be aware, this applicant that's before you tonight requested that his application for the area variance from the zoning board be withdrawn at their meeting on November 17, 2016. It was discovered that he had failed to have the Commissioner of Finance in the county sign the map as per state law, which he owed nearly $191,000 in taxes. He made some other excuse via his engineering company, via an email at some time early in the day. He should have never appeared before the zoning board without a signed map, hoping to get a positive response to his area variance request. The applicant knew when he purchased this property that it was zone CBP. His request for an area variance from the zoning board would only allow him to continue to move towards his goal of getting a rezone from the town board that would very well create a configuration of residential houses on the over 170 acres at the back of the property. If this were to happen, it would clearly undermine the 2 years of extensive work of the town board and other professionals from the town between 1999 and 2001. When the town revised their master plan to meet all the current and future environmental issues within the town of Carmel and zoned that property for that reason, Commercial Business P. You are very important members of our community, and you have an awesome responsibility to protect the interest of all the citizens that you serve. Your careful vigilance in the review of this Baldwin Hills LLC tax map number 8611-1-1 will give our community the comfort that you know what is right and will do what is right for their interests. Very truly yours, Frank J. Del Campo. Again, Mr. Chairman and Board, thank you so much. Thank you again for your service to our community. We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
It would be appropriate to request that the applicant representative respond to this, but it's not a public hearing. Therefore, I would not request that he respond to that, but especially respond to what is on the agenda that he have tonight. These letters should be referred, should be sent on to the applicant, and given that sometime he has to respond to. I think that's appropriate. Any other vice president of the board?
That makes sense.
First item on the agenda is New York Fuel Distributors for site plan.
Good evening.
Oh, just a minute.
Sure.
Has Mike got anything,
He has a memo. Mike's comments. The applicant proposed a retail convenience store and change the traffic pattern of an existing gas station. All necessary variances were granted by the ZBA. All zoning comments have been addressed.
Rich?
So the applicant is here to obtain a seeker negative declaration so that they might continue their review with the New York City DEP. The applicant has provided updated documents regards to the stormwater pollution prevention plan, but that's on a holding pattern because the New York City DEP is still in the process of reviewing it. Once the neg deck is given, they will get comments from the New York City DEP and we'll be able to move forward. There are some minor comments that need to still be addressed, and I will forward them off to the applicant.
Anything restricting from getting a neg deck?
There's nothing that's restricting us from getting a neg deck.
Pat?
You have a draft neg deck before you this evening, Mr. Chairman, that you can consider.
Can we get a motion from the board? If there's no comment?
Mr. Chairman.
With regard to the negative declaration? Correct.
Oh, okay, no, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a resolution of the Planning Board of the Town of Carmel, number 16-33, December 21st, 2016, tax map number 55.11-1-40, NY Fuel Distributors, LLC, Cocoa Farms, 1923 Route 6, secret determination of significance, negative declaration.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just so I understand that process, we're off the DEP, Rich, and then see you once we get comments back, is that the idea?
This, yeah, that's, good luck dealing with DEP.
Understood. Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
All is you.
Thank you.
Harmon Holdings? Pat?
What's that?
Mike has anything?
He does. Let's see, Mike's comments. The applicant proposed to add office space to the existing commercial building, label the plat amended site plan. The new addition matches the existing building. There's no reason for the applicant to submit to the architectural consultant unless the board finds that is necessary, and the proposal meets all the zoning requirements.
Rich?
On review of the documents, as Pat mentioned, it's to add a one-story, 500 square foot addition to the existing structure at 3 Garrett Place in Carmel, New York. We recommend that this be referred to the Carmel Fire Department for their review. Some minor comments which we can work on with the applicant, proposed utilities, if there are any lights or to be shown, any new lights to be shown on the drawing. Where runoff from that particular proposed addition is going to be a draining tube. If there's any erosion and sediment controls, they need to be providing them on the plan. And they are doing some plantings, so we require that there are detailed plantings on the landscaping proposed.
Pat?
Rich really touched on those comments. Very straightforward amendment or addition to Insight's office building. There were some clarifications about where the utilities would go, if there were new utilities being brought into that. if grading's required, some questions about lighting, just what Rich mentioned. And again, there's some minor comments about the landscaping. There's some planters that are indicated on the drawing, and whether they'll be seasonal planters or permanent plants, they should be documented on the site plan at the point of approval. No major issues, Mr. Chairman.
Chair first.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jeff Cantelmo from Insight Engineering here this evening representing our landlord, Carmen Holdings. Our building, as you know, is behind the Carmel Fire Department on Garrett Place. We have about 7,000 square foot building, and we're looking to reconfigure one of the wings with a very small addition of 500 square feet. The area that the additional will occupy is a planting bed right now. It'll be bounded by an existing building on the back side and our parking lot on the front side. We'll probably disturb a little less than 1,000 square feet, so there really are no erosion controls that are practically required nor required by code. The planting beds, we certainly will clarify what we're going to do there. No changes to the site lighting, the parking, the drainage. The roof drains from that small wing of our building will continue to function as they will. The roof is going to be basically just extended, the gutter system, downspouts, etc. So there's very little being done here from a site plan perspective.
Any questions from the board?
I just have one. I have the elevation drawings.
Sure.
What part is going to be added on it? I'm just curious.
This is the main
Right.
old portion of the house. This wing, which you see as you come down the Garrett Place, is very narrow. You can see the light gray shape of it.
Okay.
And we're just extending.
Oh, okay.
this
I got
small
you.
piece.
All right.
That was an added-on wing from many, many years ago before we occupied the property. And it really does have kind of a weird architecture now. There's kind of an old picture window in it. And we're using this opportunity to bring that front facade into more of a rhythm that's more characteristic with the older main portion of the building.
I'm enjoying that flower bed. He says it's small, but it's 1,000 square feet. Pretty good amount of flowers, isn't it?
500, yeah, a lot of flowers, 500 square feet. I agree.
We're going to hear that.
Public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay? Next meeting, next year.
Very good. We'll see you then, and we'll address the comments. Thank you.
Fan panel? Your eye is soft, mine is open. Pat?
Mike has comments on this. Proposed is a two-lot subdivision off North Lake Boulevard and Split Rock Road. May I provide a copy of the access easement for Lot 2 off the driveway on Split Rock Road? Is the cul-de-sac going to be constructed? 50-foot frontage is required if there is a true cul-de-sac. If it's not constructed, 100-foot of frontage is required. Lot 1 depth line exits and re-enters the lot. A variance is required for that. Same thing for Lot 2. Lot 1 width line starts outside of the lot. A variance is required for that. And Lot 1's frontage of 100 feet is required, and 51.9 feet is provided. A variance is required for that as well.
Board may recall, this encompasses a 15.85 acre parcel, subdivision of a 15.85 parcel into two lots. Lot 1 existing is 12.45 acres, and Lot 2 would be 3.4 acres in size. The engineering department has provided comments before, and the applicant has responded, noting that the referrals that would be warranted, noted that a stormwater pollution prevention plan will be required. They did note that the applicant, that there will be no areas reserved for open space. And, after that, they have to move on to the preliminary plat approval, which would encompass all the requirements per town code. The engineering department does not have an objection to the sketch plan being provided here.
Has any portion of that been here before?
Yes, it has. This is the second appearance.
I haven't got any better looking at it.
That's the issue, Mr. Chairman. So my comments related to that configuration of the lot. It's very,
I didn't get you, you want to go ahead, dude?
it's very unusually configured. The applicant has indicated that it is necessary or desirable to configure the lot as it is proposed so that the lot number 2 has direct physical access to Wixom Pond. That sort of snakes around the adjacent property and gives him a direct connection to Wixom Pond. At the last meeting, your board asked the applicant to explore opportunities to improve that. The applicant has indicated that that's the best they can do and still provide their client with direct access to Wixom Pond. There was clarification that Willie's provided regarding the frontage and the note it is to be dedicated to the town of Carmel. It was unclear if the frontage and the improved roadway was to be dedicated. It now is clarified to be dedicated. There's a stream channel, and there was a question of whether or not there was a wetland area surrounding the stream. The applicant has indicated that they're not doing anything in the vicinity of that. Nevertheless, we would want to have the boundary, if there is a boundary, delineated on the plan, even though they're not doing anything near that area. The applicant clarified Split Rock Road is a town road. The other issue that was a little confusing with this is that the applicant's driveway for the new home on Lot 2 crosses over the neighboring property before it connects out to the new road. The board had said, can't you keep it on your own property? The reason that's being done is the frontage of the property is a giant rock outcropping, and it would create an issue to go through the rock to get, so they have an agreement with the neighbor to skirt the rock. That's why it's proposed that way. And the applicant was asked to provide the extent of disturbance on Lot 2 and tree removal. Those details are still required.
You know, because the neighbor agreed that they can do that, it makes it legal.
It gives him the right to ask you. So you balked at that the last time around, and
In turn, the neighbor would have to grant an easement, wouldn't he?
that's correct.
The easement will be granted.
Yeah.
Permanent easement will be provided.
You should see that easement before we go too far. You should see that.
Good point.
So that's one thing.
Yeah. Before we spend too much more time with this. 'Cause
We
this-
do have the easement already in place.
The driveway easement?
Yes. But, you know, it cannot be filed unless the finalized subdivision.
Rich, you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Did you submit that, Will?
We have it drafted,
Please
but
give
we
it-
can't file it till the subdivision.
Give us a copy of the draft so
We
Joe can take a
absolutely
look at
will.
it.
We can do that, but at this stage, unless we get the zoning variance, we dead in our track. So we really what we're trying to do is just get to the zoning board and see what we can do over there. If we get the variance, then we will provide and address all these comments with no problem.
Can this go to the zoning board and then come back to us?
It would have to, yes.
Yes, we have no choice but
Well,
to do it zoning board.
That's one way of looking at it, but I don't think anything should go anywhere unless the engineers see that easement.
That's fair.
Because it should stop and distract until you see that. We don't have to act on it. As long as you can see that it is. Not saying that you would not say anything that's not up there. Well,
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to
but
make.
can't you just show him that easement?
I don't have it handy with me now.
But you
I
will
can-
have it next
It's
week
just a
sometime.
drafted, it's been prepared and ready to file, but we cannot file anything unless the subdivision is finalized.
What do you mean by drafted?
I mean, we have it drawn
Who
in the
drafted
description
it?
of it.
Did you and the
The
person who,
surveyor drafted the like.
and somebody has signed off on it?
Well, nobody can sign up on it because there's no subdivision you get, and both lots are owned by the same person.
Okay.
So granting the easement is absolutely 100% guaranteed will be there. It's not like we have to go to a neighbor and work out a deal with them, they're the same owner.
Well, the lot to the right is owned by the same property?
Lot 2, and, could you point to the two lots that are owned by the
Yes.
same person, please?
this lot here, and this lot is also the same one as Mr. Tom Fantino's house.
Oh, okay.
He's my partner. He owns both lots.
So, granting the easement should not be an issue. We don't have to work out a deal with a third party, it's within the same people. And it's really the major obstacle right now is the zoning board. If that does not take place, then we really can't go any further.
But you don't want to make it no more complicated, because you said it was between two people, now you said it's a third party in that easement too, so it's starting to get a little complicated.
But there is no third party.
There's none.
There will be no third party.
Oh, no, okay. Pat,
Yes,
too complicated for me?
you need
No,
to,
I'm just got this. But it is, it's quite complicated on that, if you pose those lots together.
so one thing I was unaware of, Mr. Chairman, is that Infantino owns the adjacent property as well. So that strange shape of the property could be improved with his partner's consent to create a better configuration for
Would
that
you,
lot.
would you take a look at that?
Well, we'd asked the applicant to do that last time, and Willie's come back and said this is the best we can do.
That's gonna be an issue raised by the zoning board of appeals, whether.
Exactly, I mean, we can
No,
work out.
yeah, but I'm not saying this in your favor. That's gonna be an issue that's raised by the zoning board of appeals. Why don't you answer this board as to how you would address that, because it's important.
It's in order for us to provide access to Dixon Pond, that's the only way, and the area where the activities for the construction completely 100% will be in direct angle up in the top near the cul-de-sac. That area is only a walkway and a path access. We cannot improve anything upon it because of the property on both sides and the septic system existence and what have you. So it's really very tough. Either we have no access to Dixon Pond and we'll have an issue with the area, meaning the 3-acre lot. But provided on paper, it looks strange, but in reality, it's really the portion of the house is up on the top. And there's a couple of acres up there, for the accommodate the house on the septic area. That area, the snake area that's coming down to Wixom Pond, it's really completely useless. It's just to provide an access, pedestrian access, to if somebody wants to go down there and enjoy the view of the pond, that's about it. There's no other use, there's no septic in it, there's no driveway, there is no any activities or improvement, proposed there.
Couldn't that also be achieved through an easement with the adjacent property owner, which owns the same property, just like the driveway, and provide an access easement instead of physically dividing that lot?
It definitely could be, but like I said, that area also was necessary to bring the size of the lot above the 3 acres.
Willie,
And
how large
easement
is
or not,
that
that
lot?
area will become completely non-usable for any neighbors except the owner of that property, whether it's by easement or by ownership. It's the same thing.
Willie, could you clarify how big lot 1 is?
12.45 acres.
And lot 2 is
12.45
3.4.
acres lot.
And lot
And
2 is 3.4.
3.4.
It almost seems that with 15 acres, it should be more flexibility. It's just an odd lot, right?
It's just the odd shape of the lot meets the requirement of the area and what have you. The only variance we need is the lot that jumps off the property line because of the odd shape.
Well, it's actually 4 variances, but
Well, that's one of them, but one variance is enough. One of the 4 is usually the same, so.
So just so I know what I'm looking at, lot 1, lot 1 and 2 are the property that we are subdividing.
Correct.
Okay. Lot 1 exists, is there a home there now? Looks like there's a driveway in there
Yes.
now?
Yes.
So there's an existing home, and is that an existing septic area there also, just above it that I'm seeing?
Correct, yes, this
Yes.
area here.
Okay. So lots 1 and 2 are owned by the same people, which also look adjacent lots are owned by the same person.
Yes.
And in that piece of that adjacent lot to the right that's looking at that, what's in that? It looks like there's a pool, is there a house there, a driveway, what is all that?
This area here,
Yeah, what are those?
it's the house, the garage, there's the house, there's additional, the septic area, this pump up, so the lot is very rough and very, like the area is scattered, the process of approval of this lot. They were like testing all over the place, trying to find the proper area for it.
That's an existing septic system.
Yes, right here.
Where's the replacement area for that?
Right there.
I mean, that's actually the expansion area, I'm sorry, I think about it. That's the expansion area for the septic system.
Where
The
is
septic
the
system is near the house.
Louis, the front half is the septic, the back half is the expansion.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the front half of,
Closer to the house.
the piece,
Yes,
the piece of that closest
Is
there?
the primary and the other half.
Those are the old guidelines, so now it's required even less.
What, I'm sorry.
You're gonna have to stand up to the microphone, Rich.
The front septic, is already in place. The back part of it is not in place, but by the new guidelines now, you even need less septic area. The bank room's already been put in, you probably need a third of that section right there. On the expansion, if you were to expand it. On the existing home,
On the adjacent lot?
yes.
Okay. But that home's been there for,
3-4 years now.
okay, so it's a
3 years,
functioning
maybe?
system,
5
it's an
years.
approved functioning system with that lot and that septic, with that,
With Board of Health.
with that expansion, okay.
You gotta realize, the terrain there's really rough. It slopes down
Okay.
quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the full picture of what I'm looking at here.
It's probably a 400 feet pump-up system up to that area.
Okay.
And you probably rising 100 feet. Maybe more.
And the piece that goes down to the lake is serving two purposes, getting to the area you need to build
Correct.
for the minimum lot size, that
Yeah.
location, and providing access.
Yes, exactly.
Because actually going down that slope, the same thing too, very steep, nothing you can do with it.
Look at the grade of it.
Mhm.
It's pretty.
I'm trying to figure out what's the best avenues to take here. Some years ago, there was a big discussion on things of this nature. And it came before the planning board that there is some parcels of land that should not be built on. This is getting close to it. So I think the president must sit here and try to figure this out. I think he should sit down, Rich, with you, so we can get a clear picture. That map is a little bit difficult to understand. But maybe it may have too many lines on it to define it. You having a problem with that, Pat?
Meeting with the applicant, not at all, I'd be happy to do it.
I think that's what you need to do, Willie. And then when you come back, it's a precise thing that you're looking for. Right. Now, we know you need certain things, but there are other things you're gonna need. Let it be precise. That would be my conclusion.
Would it make sense, and I mean, this is a real question for Pat, to let them go to the zoning board to see if they can get the variances?
So the moral of that story has been in the past, if you are not satisfied with the configuration of the lot, zoning boards sometimes grant variances. The applicant returns with a lot that you're not satisfied with. So you should be satisfied with the lot before sending it to the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah,
And that
that
lot,
would
you
make
should have an understanding that the improvement on the lot can be achieved. That there's acceptable septic systems and so
Can
on.
I say something? We have no objection to this. I agree with the board. Let's iron out all the possibilities, and when we go to the zoning board, we say at least we worked out completely with the zoning board, with the planning board, this is what the best we could come up with and make life easier for us in front of the zoning board, so we won't be more than happy.
Well, we all have to understand that the zoning board looks at that map different than the planning board does.
Exactly, and that's why I'm willing.
You might be able to eliminate some of those variances too. Maybe 4 goes at 2, or who knows, so.
It's true,
I think
it's
that'd
true.
be-
We have no objection to it. We'll
Okay.
come back next month.
That's what we'll do.
Okay?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and enjoy. We'll see you next year.
That makes sense.
Lakeview Realty.
Gary?
How are you? Very good to see you. On return. Pat?
I don't have Mike's comments. I have no objections to the bond return, Mr. Chairman.
And to paraphrase Mike, he had no objection to the bond return. I don't have the actual language, but I know I read his memo. In response, my comments from the engineering, in response to a request by the applicant, we performed a field inspection of the reference property in November of 2016. The results show that all the site improvements required pursuant to the board site plan approval have been completed, and we recommend that the remainder of the bond of $27,000 be released.
I'll just add from Mike's, because I have Mike's memo, and he says, the only thing you left out is upon inspection today, December 16th, there were no violations. So, just add that.
Anybody else? Get any questions? Pat, you got anything?
No objections, Mr. Chairman.
Then we can make a motion to release the bond.
Oh,
And the amount is, you got the amount?
no, I do not have, yes, 27,000.
That goes into the record, right, Pat?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion for the bond return request, tax map number 76.22-1-4, December 19th, 2016. The bond amount is $27,000, which was posted on July 28th, 2015.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Hillcrest comments? Pat? So, Mike got anything?
I don't have Mike's comments on this. Brady, have Mike's comments?
Yes, I do. Mike says, I have no objection to the reapproval of the amendment site plan for the above project.
Rich?
Engineering Department does not have an objection to the reapproval of the amended site plan for the project, as long as there are no changes being made to the site. Just so the board is aware, the project does have coverage for stormwater under New York State DEC requirements. They have a New York City DEP stormwater permit, which expires in 2018. They have expiration date of March 2018 from Putnam County for the amended approval plans for sewer collection system. There is information missing from the file regarding easement information from the bond board resolution of May 8th, 2013, so that should be provided. And the performance bond is set to expire on April 5th, 2017. So that's coming up for the performance bond.
The applicant explained to you the purposes, the circumstances that resulted in this request. We have no objection. There are no changes to the plan. It's the same plan that you previously approved.
Well, anytime you want a reapproval, we do need a little conversation. Maybe you can buy that for us. You know what? You know about reapprovals. So sometimes, the reason I'm saying that, I said in all earnestness, sometimes the board can get to a point where it's a little reluctant to just fly through a reapproval. So we need to know what's going on here. If you don't mind giving a little insight. Any objection, Madam Board?
No.
My name is John Minority. I'm the Director of Development for Wildwood Multi Partners, the owner of the property. I was involved in the application process and the site plan approval and subdivision and the secret review for this development. I also managed the development of Phase 1 to completion, which is continuing to perform very well. Residents are happy, and we still have an extensive waiting list. As you may recall, all of the site improvements for both phases of development are complete. The roadway is 100% complete. stormwater basins, the water system, which is operational, and all utilities, and have been brought to the remaining lot E-2.2, which is remaining 74 units to be constructed. Site's been cleared and prepped in anticipation of proceeding with the development. What's held us up has been the lack of funding. We've applied every year for the past 3 years to the funding. Unfortunately, the funding has not been approved. And that's pretty much been the case across Putnam County. There have been really no new developments in the affordable level that have been approved in the county. We continue to be vigilant and continue to reapply. Positive note, earlier in the year, the governor had announced $2 billion of housing initiative funding, subject to approval of how that money is going to be allocated by the board, by the legislative body of the state. Unfortunately, they haven't come to an agreement yet. There's a good portion of dollars, I believe it's as much as $200 million that's been proposed to be applied for senior housing, which this development is. Also on a positive note, we've also seen some thawing in the market rate market, and we've started to take a little closer look at that, with the possibility that if the conditions improve, that we would possibly proceed with the development of market rate. So we have irons in the fire, but at this point we don't have funds committee. And one other thing, at the last meeting, the board had requested some additional information, which we provided as well, including an updated memo from the traffic consultants. The conditions have not deteriorated and still support.
The 74 units to be built, correct?
Correct.
How many are there now?
76.
And would that complete the entire master plan for the entire site?
Yes, and as part of the original developments, we committed to a restriction on not more than 150 units total, notwithstanding the fact that we subdivided the property, and that restriction was put on the record and was given to the town. So what we have on the site plan right now is what we hope to build, so we're not proposing any changes.
Just the original traffic study, that was done before the project was started? And so this gentleman, Philip Greeley, he's telling us that with the addition of 70-something units, it hasn't changed the traffic pattern at all?
No, well, the traffic pattern would have
All those
accommodated
units were proposed when they reviewed it.
builds
Okay.
scenario. So
Okay.
And I'm looking to add additional.
Yeah.
My head is always standing out there. What is it, swimming pool?
swimming pool's
When am I gonna be able to swim?
still on the plan. It's not coming off that plan.
You're not letting go of that, are you?
Well, it's certainly something we discussed at length.
You beat that pool to death.
Yeah. Well, I was planning on going over and jumping in.
Well, we appreciate you updating us on that. We sincerely hope you have success with getting that funded, because maybe that project can move along towards a conclusion.
As indicated, there's a pretty good wait list of seniors who like to take advantage of the housing. So we've had support from supervisor as we submit our applications. And it's pretty good at the application. We have a senior executive in our company's been doing this for 20 years.
Thank you so much.
We won't quit.
Is this a one-year extension?
This is a reapproval.
Reapproval?
Yep. Anybody else got any questions?
No issue with the bond
we've been renewing the bond every year. That's a tickler in our system.
And there's a lot of, the 2018 is a lot of permits you're gonna have to reflect based on Rich's memo, so.
No, there wasn't,
Wasn't there,
It's 218.
2018, yeah, they have a little bit to go.
We're in good shape there.
The only thing, the performance bond expires in 17, but that's something they can renew.
Okay, can we get a motion for reapproval? Okay, should we have a,
Vote by motion, Mr. Chairman.
we don't need to get a,
This is your procedure.
So I'll make a motion for reapproval of the amended site plan for Hillcrest Commons, tax map number 44.10-2-4.2. Second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thanks so much.
Thank you all.
Have a happy holiday.
You too. Merry Christmas.
The Hamlet at Common.
Okay.
This is an extension of final site plan.
Oh,
Oh, this is Jeff, okay.
Pat, anything from Mike?
I don't have Mike's memo on this one.
hold on, yeah, I'll, 1 second, number 6. Sorry. Okay. Putnam Community Foundation, okay. So Mike says in his memo, I have no objection to the reapproval of the subdivision as there were no changes to the previously approved plan.
Rich?
The applicant is requesting a site plan approval extension. The engineering department does not have a problem with that. Just so the board knows, they have coverage under the New York City DEP Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. That's good till 2020. They have state coverage for stormwater. They have Town of Carmel out of water and sewer district agreements that are dated from 2002. We do need to update those agreements to reflect the proposed use. The approved request is for a previously planning board approved site. Any additional changes which may be contemplated by the applicant may trigger a new site review process and regulatory review. So they came in, they were just looking to do the original. If they make any changes, which they may do, they're aware of that. Performance bond and engineering inspection fee will need to be increased to reflect current costs, and a stormwater maintenance agreements and bond will be required.
Pat?
And there is no change to the plan at the moment, Mr. Chairman, so there are no objections to the consideration of the extension of this.
Good evening.
How you doing? You want to say anything, or?
No, we're here for extension, and as Pat indicated, there's no change going forward.
What's the extension, Pat?
1 year.
If there's no concerns around the board, we entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the extension of final site plan, the Hamlet at Carmel, Stoneleigh Avenue, tax map 66-2-58.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And while you're standing there, Baldwin subdivision.
Okay, you want me to read Mike's memo? Okay, Mr. Carnazzo writes, I have no objection to the reapproval of the subdivision as there were no changes to the previously approved plan.
Rich?
This department has no objection to granting the final subdivision plat approval extension as long as there are no changes being made to the site plan, which there are not.
Pat?
No objection to the reapproval consideration. There are no changes proposed. This is not the lot line modification. This is the originally approved subdivision.
Yeah, I think that was not for discussion, but I think there was a lot of misunderstanding on what this thing was all about.
That's correct.
Do you think so?
There was.
Yeah.
So but That's
Because it's got nothing to do with it.
not this action.
Not
The
this
action that's before the zoning board tomorrow night, different
It's
story.
different.
That's correct. This is the originally approved subdivision for the fully conforming lots, not the lot line amendment, nor the variances to the undersized lots.
I wasn't aware of that, okay.
Jeffrey?
We're here this evening for the reapproval of the previously approved.
That's the original.
That's correct. It's the exact configuration as previously approved. It's a 13-acre parcel. In round numbers, we're subdividing it into two parcels of approximately 3 and 10 acres. So again, they're both are totally conforming, it is the same map and the same configuration that was previously approved.
Any question on the board?
No.
Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion for the reapproval of the final subdivision approval for the Baldwin subdivision, tax map 86.11-1-1.
I'll second that.
That was the word that doesn't mean anything. I'm trying to take Joe's job.
I'm sure he'd be happy with that.
I'm not too sure that final. Read your motion again.
Okay, so I will make a motion for the reapproval of the final subdivision approval for Baldwin subdivision, tax map 86.11-1-1.
It's not a final, it's just the original.
It's final for the moment.
Okay. All right. Can we get a second?
You got it, Anthony made the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
No minutes.
No minutes.
I'd like to offer the minutes of the planning board of the town of Carmel held on October 26, 2016.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We got no,
That's it.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Merry Christmas to each and every one of you.
Same to you.
And to you too, Jeff.
Boy, it's not your night, Jim.
You want to see not my night? Come back tomorrow.
I'll watch it on TV.
He actually replied he wanted to be an attorney for me.
I think he's overqualified.
He's working on that.
He's smarter than most land use attorneys I know. Good night, Frank. Merry Christmas.
He's shutting
Jeffrey?
Jeff, if anything changes between now and tomorrow, just a little bit of a heads up.